Good morning, gentlemen. Fast Way to Fat Loss, week one, day one. Again, prep week was actually week one, but in the sense of the program, we're into week one, day one, and macronutrients tracking. Now, I will get into that. We'll get into that in a minute, but there's been some other questions about high intensity interval training that I wanted to dive into very quickly and try to put into layman's terms is why we do that, okay? So what I've listed here, and orange was probably not the best idea, but what I listed here were max heart rates for age groups, right? So for a 30-year-old, max heart rate is 187, a 40-year-old 180, 50-year-old 173, a 60-year-old 166, and a 70-year-old 159. And what that means is like when you're exercising, you don't really want to go over that max heart rate at a length of time or much over that and working your heart too hard. So max heart rate, again, for a 30-year-old is 187, for a 70-year-old, 159. Again, that's pushing it quite a bit. So high intensity interval training, what we look at is that max heart rate and where we need to be, sort of 90% of that. 90% to that max heart rate when we're busting it out from like a sprint perspective, or when that 20-second of work in a Tabata, or a 30-minute or a 30-second work, minute rest type of time frame, every minute on the minute. You know what I'm saying. High intensity for a short period of time, then we rest. And that's what we get here. High intensity, rest. High intensity, rest, high intensity, rest. So again, when we're at this highest intensity, if you're not able to track your heart or monitor it in any way, I would suggest looking at to find something that's cheap if that's all you're looking to get out of. I wear a Whoop band, not for everyone. I'm just into all of those details of sleep and everything else, variable heart rate, things like that. But I know what my max heart rate is per exercise. I know when I need to push it a little bit more or back it off a little bit. So what I can tell you with high intensity interval training, what studies have said, guys, they've grouped some, I'll just say overweight or obese subjects, and they've given them a steady state of exercise at 40 minutes or a high intensity exercise at 90% of their heart rate for 20 minutes and so on. So that was sort of the subject of all of these, everything that I've read in these studies concerning high intensity interval training. So what I'll say here is, a runner gets into that nice pace, their heart rate may be at 150, 140 for that consistent time area. Are they going to burn fat? Yes, they're still going to burn fat, but it's going to take 40 minutes in this span to burn sort of the same amount or less than what we get in 20 minutes of high intensity interval training. I hope that makes sense. So high intensity interval training, 20 minutes in these studies compared to 40 minutes, people lost more fat in the 20 minutes of high intensity interval training than they lost in the 40-minute of consistent pacing workout. Okay, so how do I explain that in sort of layman's terms? The best thing that I can do in sort of an analogy, if you will, is think about a car on the highway going the same speed. Okay, 55 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour on a highway. What does your gas mileage look like? It's like 25, 30 miles per gallon, right? What happens when you go into the city? What does that miles per gallon do? It drops, right? We only get maybe 12 to 17, almost half. Why is that? Well, the car is working harder at stopping, then starting, using more gas to get to where it needs to be, right? So again, when you're thinking about efficiency of the gas utilization from a car standpoint, right, we want to be here. But when we're looking at burning fat more effectively, we want that start and stop. We want to be able to use more fat. We want to use more fat, use more fuel, right, to get to where we need to be in a shorter period of time. So we want that start and stop. We want that 12 to 17 miles per gallon because we want the body to work harder to get there, right? And that's stopping, and that's stopping, starting, stopping, starting. 90% to max heart rate while we're working. And that's what studies have shown, that if you are able to stop and start in that period of time of from 0 to 20 seconds, 30 seconds, rest a minute, 40 seconds, and then start up again, you're going to be able to burn. Your body has to burn more fat to go from start to stop than from just continuing to pace at a nice steady pace for a longer period of time. Hopefully that makes sense, okay? Probably spent more time there than I needed to. I just wanted you to understand, the benefit of high intensity interval training and why we do it in a sort of like a 20-minute time period compared to like 40 minutes of a stationary bike or 40 minutes of something else at a nice level pace. Hopefully that makes sense, okay? Now, I'm going to jump on my MyFitnessPal real quick and show you what mine looks like. Okay, so regular macro day. Carbs, protein, fat, okay. So, again, I'm 6 foot, 6'1", about 195 pounds. My level of activity is set to, I'm active. I'm an active person, and I want to lose 1 pound per week because my range, again, I'm at 195, but my range of feel good, I know, is 185 to 195. So I put my lowest marker at 185. That's where I want to be, and I don't want to go any lower than that. Okay, 185 is sort of my lowest point that I want to get to. So at 195, 6 foot, 1 pound per week, this is the calculation I get from an active profile. So 272 grams of carbs, 151 grams of protein, 81 grams of fat equals 2420 total calories, okay? So if you're similar to me and have a build like mine and set to active, you should get something like this. Again, 45% carbs, 25% protein, 30% fat, total calories. That's how it's set up. Now, if you plan to work out every day but still sit at a desk job, do active profile, okay? If you sit at a desk all day and are only able to work out 2 to 3 times per week, you'd be less active, okay? So that's sort of the name of the game. If you plan to work out every day, that we have an activity or exercise routine, put your profile to active, okay? And you should get something of this nature if you're my size and of my profile. But again, make sure it's set to 45% carbohydrates, 25% protein, 30% fat, and these are your total calories, macronutrient calories for the day. So why is this important? Okay, we're not carb cycling this week, but next week we will be. So we need a starting point based on that. I need you guys to get used to this intake because I guarantee most of you are not hitting this right now, okay? You may think you're eating a lot of food, but I guarantee when you put this in perspective of tracking, now we're gonna start tracking the food, you're probably nowhere close to this, okay? I need you to do a good job of especially hitting your carbs. More importantly for lean mass, get your protein and good fats. We need good fats to lose fat, 24-20, okay? Now what else can I talk about here? Steps, okay? We do not want to add steps. So how do we get rid of steps? We want to go to, if this was your, I don't know if you can see this. This is the home page. I think the glare might, home page of MyFitnessPal. If you go to more, bottom right hand corner, scroll down, you'll see an area called steps. Hit steps and make sure do not track. I don't know if it's going to let me show that or not. Do not track. Don't track steps. If you have that on, you will never meet your macronutrients intake goal. The more exercise you do, the more calories it's going to add during the day. We're set up in the MyFitnessPal to be in a restricted caloric deficit. Not too big, right? That 0.5 to 1 pound of fat loss per week is where you want to be. 0.5 to 1 pound. Now, if you have 50 to 70 pounds you're wanting to lose, maybe let's discuss going to 1.5, possibly 2, but really, I really want you guys to start at 0.5 and 1 pound per week. Otherwise, you're going to be very angry at me, hangry, as some of you like to say, not getting enough nutrients, macronutrients to be in a good mood, feel like you're lively, energetic, ready to work out, ready to work on a daily basis, have fun with the kids, the wife, so on and so forth. So 0.5 to 1, active, if you're active, great, not active, if I sort of gave that description, but here, this is what mine looks like, okay, from a MyFitnessPal standpoint. Now, tracking the food. Why is it so important? Now, think about everything that you guys, from an exercise standpoint, from switching your diet or dietary intake to whole food, think about all the work you've put in. And you don't want to take literally 2 to 3 minutes, and it'll take less than that, but starting out, it'll take really 2 to 3 minutes, 5 max, to put in your food for the day, okay? And like I said in previous videos, you can sort of poster what your day should look like, and then facilitate, think about, how am I going to get this in my day period, whether it's meal prep on Sundays, or looking at work, restaurants are around you if you're at work, where you can get a healthy meal. But if you're doing it with your wife, planning meals at home thereafter. But you can really plug and play and see, okay, I need 2 chicken breasts, so much beef, maybe some beans, I need some carrots, some nuts and seeds for fat, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Guys, you can input all that. You're not going to mess anything up. You can delete everything, but you can play with your day and see what you need to eat in order to meet your macronutrients goal, okay? We need this. We need to be very diligent and disciplined with inputting. You're putting so much work in, why not track what you're doing to your body, right? If you're too much in a caloric deficit, again, we're already in a deficit being at 0.5 to 1 pound of weight loss per week, okay? If you're in, why diets don't work. If you're in too much of a caloric deficit for too long a period of time, your ghrelin, which is a hormone in your body that makes you feel like you're hungry and want to eat, that percentage just keeps increasing to the point where you can't handle it anymore. You're going to just eat no matter what. And that's why diets, very, very restrictive diets don't work, because that percentage to a point and gets into your body, you can't control it anymore. And you just, from where you started, you go over to compensate. And so what we see with most diet and fads is that you lose a lot of weight, but then you gain it back and then some, because the ghrelin that you've been able, that hormone you've produced from restricting too much in your body has just overcompensated, and now you're just hungry all the time and miserable. So we are in a slight caloric deficit here. Don't put yourself in too big of a deficit, because you will relapse big time. This is not a huge restrictive caloric deficit plan. This is to get you in a state of mind of, this is what my body needs to function properly, still have a caloric deficit in place, but function properly, build properly, and recover properly, so that I can continue to function normally, lose fat, but still gain lean mass. That's what this is calculated to do for you, okay? Specific. It's very scientific in nature. It's very specific in nature. We have to meet these guidelines. Don't think that you're going to say, oh, I'm going to go half of this. I'm just going to cut this in half, and I'm going to get twice the results. Initially, you probably will drop very fast, but then you're going to not be able to maintain, and you're going to bounce back and probably put on even more weight if you're concerned about weight. Again, weight is not a focus here. It's a byproduct, right? It's a byproduct of everything else we're doing, from a nutrition-based, exercise-based, just to live a longer, healthier life in the end, okay? And weight loss is going to be a byproduct of that, but more importantly, fat loss in that sense. Fat loss, but gaining muscle. So we're not, you can be negligent. You can lose fat and gain muscle and still be the same weight. That's why we stay away from the scale. Kick it out. We don't want that because, old saying goes true. Fat weighs less than muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. So if you lose fat and you're gaining muscle, you might have a negligent weight loss factor there, okay? Don't count on that. But I'm just saying, do not put yourself in a very restricted, caloric deficit. We don't want to do that because you can't maintain it. You cannot maintain it. Your body will not allow you to. Ghrelin will overtake leptin. Leptin is what makes you feel satisfied, the hormone that makes you feel satisfied. We eat till we're like 80% full in this, and that's what you should feel. But don't restrict it any more than we're already doing. Just don't, okay? It doesn't work like that. Trust me, it doesn't work like that. I've been through a lot of cases with men who want to do it their way. Their way never really sustains in that sense. So I covered the intermittent training, steps off. Okay, so questions about Bulletproof Coffee because I brought it up. Will Bulletproof Coffee, this is a big question. Will Bulletproof Coffee break your fast? In my opinion, it will. The calories are significant, right? There are significant calories within Bulletproof Coffee, but it doesn't necessarily give you that insulin spike that would sort of institute a fast break, or a breaking of the fast, if you will. However, think about this. If you're burning fat, and this is why I would say it breaks a fast in a sense. If you're burning your body fat for fuel, and then you ingest a coffee with additional good fats, right? The oil and butter, if you will, grass-fed butter, what is your body going to do? Your body is going to stop burning your body fat and turn to the dietary fat that you put in, and therefore you're sort of, why would you do that in a sense, right? Why would you take that chance? Why would you want, if your body is efficiently burning your body fat while you're fasting, why would you want to add a fat while you're fasting that your body switches to from, oh, this is a dietary fat, I'm going to switch, get that out of the system, burn that, and then possibly go back. But usually what happens is people then break their fast, and so they don't go back to burning their body fat again. So don't try the Bulletproof Coffee while you're fasting, okay? You can wait until you break a fast. It's a great fast breaker, right? Because you get your good fats in very quickly, especially on low carb day when we go into carb cycling. That's a good way to get a lot of good fats in with a Bulletproof Coffee. But will it break your fast? In my opinion, yes. Even though it doesn't give you an insulin spike, you are switching from body fat to dietary fat, and so you're sort of like, why would you want to do that? I don't want to switch from body fat to dietary fat unless I'm going to break a fast, right? So keep that in mind. That was another question that came up. So guys, I'm running up on 18 minutes here, about 20 minutes. If you have additional questions about how to set up your MyFitnessPal, fantastic. Send them through, but hopefully, from the high intensity interval training, that keep in mind what I said here about the efficiency in that 20 minutes of burning fat, because it'll make even more sense when we're carb cycling. So this is sort of a precursor. It all builds, right? The foundational weeks build. Keep this in mind. Keep everything in mind as we build, and it'll make a lot more sense. We're putting it all together. But if you have any additional questions about the MyFitnessPal and how we can easily track, let me know. Again, use the scanner. If you buy a pack of chicken, scan it into your MyFitnessPal. It'll tell you the contents of that package. Don't try to type it all in and things like that. It's right there on the package, and do it separately. And so, like I said, when I'm doing a Instapot type of pressure cooker, I put the chicken breast in full so that when I break it up into meals and from a meal plan, I know exactly, like, this was a chicken breast with 1 cup of rice and 1 cup of broccoli. I can easily put that in. When you start mixing things up and guessing, that's what messes with people's minds of guessing. But you don't have to be perfect at the end of the day. A 4-ounce chicken breast versus a 6-ounce chicken breast is not going to ruin your day, okay? So don't let those little things inhibit you from progressing forward. It doesn't have to be perfect, but keep in mind, when you're at a restaurant, chicken breast, broccoli, rice, just go from the standardization. It's never going to be perfect, and you don't have to be, but it's going to give you a ballpark figure at the end of the day. And track. This is the most important part. Understand what you're putting into your body as fuel in order to maximize the program. Okay, if you're not tracking, you're not going to maximize the program. You're not going to get the most out of this, out of the Faster Way to Fat Loss. So hopefully this helps, guys. Put the questions and comments in other areas that I can touch on. Again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, less activity because I'm going to be in the field, on the road and traveling. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or more of this back and forth. But let me know your thoughts. Let me know what I can help out with. Have a great Monday.